Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Select Ireland information webinar. This time we have a country focus for Italy, and we'd like to welcome everybody who's attending here today from the Select Ireland schools, along with the agencies who are attending with us here today. And we'd also like to welcome those who will be watching us, not live, but after this event when we post on our YouTube channel. Also, a special welcome to Mark Sheeran, who's Managing Director at Gardner International Insurance Solutions Limited. Mark's going to talk to us a little bit later on about insurance that he provides for students, which is all important at the moment for students who are travelling inbound from Italy and their insurance requirements in the current COVID situation. To start off today, though, however, we want to, first of all, introduce Select Ireland, explain a little bit about how it came about and what its function is. And to do that, I'm going to pass you over to Justin Quinn, who is at Centre of English Studies. Justin.
Thank you, Patrick, and buongiorno to all of our lovely Italian guests. It's wonderful to have you here today. It's a very mild day in Dublin today. It's I think 17 degrees outside at the moment, so it's very, very mild. Very unusual at this time of the year. But I suppose a couple of good important things is it's good to see that the numbers coming in from Italy are improving on a week-by-week basis, and we're getting lots of inquiries from Italy. So at least the market is very, very positive at the moment. But a little bit about Select. We started Select a few years ago, and sorry, a few months ago. And the idea and the concept was that we noticed really that on the MEI workshops, there were the FAM trips, that the agents were never very happy with the speed at which they were run through schools and how they were pushed through, and they never got a feeling for Ireland because everything was rushed. So the real idea was that we would be able, as a group of schools, come together to organise proper FAM trips spread over a week that would that the agents would get a small group of agents with a real good chance to see what Ireland was like and spend more time with the providers. And so there was 9 quality schools came together, 2 from Galway, 2 from Cork, and the rest from the wonderful city of Dublin. And so that was the original idea. And then that changed again a bit, and we looked at how the quality language schools were working in Ireland, and we started developing programs in CPD, continuous professional development, for our front of house teams, for administration teams, and also for the teachers. So doing a lot of work with teacher training as well. And then COVID came along and sort of put the roadblock on what we were doing. And at that stage, all of the schools, we would meet on a weekly basis and discuss how we were getting and what was happening and how we were moving forward. So it was a huge role in what we were doing, and we were a great crutch for all of us going forward throughout the COVID. And as we looked at this, and Select had a huge input on how the Irish government worked its way out of COVID, and how we developed all the protocols and how we developed all the strategies for getting out. So we've had a huge, in our short time together, we've had a huge impact on what's happened in Ireland. And as 9 schools together, we have pooled our resources towards marketing, but also as friends, and as we're able to work together. And it's been a great journey for us. And as we launch Select and as we bring Select forward, we're talking and communicating with the agents, so that as an agent, you know that if you work with a Select school in Dublin and the student needs to go to Cork, we have great schools in Cork, or if it needs to go to Galway, we've got great schools in Galway. So as a cooperative, we're working together for quality in Ireland, for the safety of the students, and we're working together to make sure that the quality agents in Italy will have quality language schools to send your students through to. So it's a great pleasure to have you here today, and I'd like to thank you for joining us on the launch of Select in Italy. And if you have any questions, or if you need anything, there's nine of us here to answer any questions that you might have. So I'm going to hand you back to Patrick and for the rest of the afternoon session. So really, thank you all very, very much for joining us today.
Thank you for that, Justin. Thank you for the introduction and explaining a bit about who we are. From this point then, we just next want to go to Mark Sheeran, who I mentioned is Managing Director of GuardMe International Insurance Solutions Limited, just to talk a little bit about insurance and possible insurance requirements for your students who might be inbound to Ireland over the next 12 months. So Mark, if I can hand over to you.
Unmute myself, caught myself before I spoke. Great, thanks Patrick. Hi everybody. Yes, I'm Mark Sheeran. I'm the Managing Director of GuardMe in Ireland. I'll just talk you through briefly, just a little bit, just an overview, I suppose, of how insurance for students visiting Ireland works. We have offices. The background of GuardMe is we have a parent group in Canada that would be specialists in student insurance. It's all we do, and what we've done for about nearly 25 years. So we have offices around the world, in Toronto, in Dublin, in Spain, the UK, etc. So we're able to work with Italian agents for their students visiting anywhere around the world. In terms of Ireland and what students need to be aware of, just a couple of things I'm just going to quickly talk us through. Obviously, I could talk for a long time about all of this, but I'm going to give you a brief overview. And if anybody's any questions, you're welcome to follow up with me. I'll leave my details at the bottom, or Patrick and Co are very welcome to share my details. So we're going to quickly skim through today's insurance plans, what's available, general cover included, prices, COVID-19, which everybody wants to know about, and then just generally working with us. In terms of insurance and what plans, what we know, we've been working in Italy for many, many years with agents, and what we know that the Italian agents tend to really like in their cover is the bottom product here, AXA multi-risk and cancellation. To give you an overview just of all three, the first product here, multi-risk Ireland, Ireland being the keyword, this is only available to the, we'll say, the select schools here today, schools based in Ireland for regulatory reasons. So if you choose for your partner school in select schools to purchase the insurance for you, you're more than welcome to do that, and they will be able to avail of this policy. And it's got everything a student needs visiting Ireland, all medical needs, repatriation, it's got some COVID cover, etc., and the prices are there. What we know from experience, when Italian agents prefer to work with us directly, and you're welcome to do that too, they tend to prefer this product here, which is AXA multi-risk and cancellation. It's basically got everything that the first product has, and I'll give you a quick overview in a moment, but it has this element of cancellation cover, which means that students can, if they were to fall sick, we'll say before their trip with say COVID or any other illness, they would be covered for up to €7,500 for their tuition, their accommodation, their flights. So it's very popular on the continent, that policy with the cancellation cover. And as I say, the Irish schools tend to purchase this product instead. What the difference is in the products is essentially the AXA multi-risk and cancellation product, the one for 90 cents per day, that's popular on the continent, as I say, would have all the benefits here on this page. So all the medical they could ever need. There's 10 million worth of cover, so it's more than enough. There's third-party cover, there's missed flights, delayed baggage, things that happen during the journey, we'll say. There's 7,500 for curtailment, which is cutting short their trip. So when the student departs their home, wants to come to the hospital or wants to go to the airport, is diagnosed with COVID at the airport perhaps, that would be cutting short their trip, and they would be covered for €7,500 for cover. So you can see why that's a very popular policy. And additionally, there's cancellation. Let's say they never leave their house, they're sick a week before they're due to travel, they have to quarantine because of COVID, they would be covered for that too. Or indeed another illness could happen. So that's the most robust comprehensive policy meeting all needs. 90 cents per day for the cancellation, and then there's other cheaper prices for other products. COVID-19 cover, what that means. There's three things really. There's medical cover if they get COVID, there's cancellation cover if they have to cancel, as I spoke about, before their trip, and curtailment if they have to cut short their trip. Quickly just delving into them, medical cover means any medical treatment. Quarantine, upon arrival, if the student had to quarantine, they could be covered for medical costs if they were diagnosed. And then repatriation will be if they got sick and they had to be repatriated home to their country. Also, interestingly, if a student, say at the end of their trip, was diagnosed 2 days before due to fly home, they'd obviously have to quarantine, or even if they were a close contact, they may have to quarantine for a certain amount of days. So they would be covered for accommodation extension, reschedule flights, etc., etc. That would be at the end of their trip. So there's really, really good cover there, I think. In terms of curtailment, again, it would be if they had to go home because the Italian government said you need to come home. There would have to be a drastic change of events, I think, for that to happen, but it is there if they ever had to go home. And as I say, denied boarding, or if a close relative actually became ill with COVID too. And then in the cancellation cover, as I say, they'll be able to cancel before they trip. And I've given you a few headline benefits there in terms of that. One thing to note is that for every person, for every travel policy in the world, a student or any of us on our own policies must travel in accordance with travel advice. So at the moment, the travel advice is good to come to Ireland from Italy and from most places. But if it ever changed and said Ireland is not a safe country to come to, which I don't envisage will happen, I think we're all on the right path now. It just means that they do just need to travel in travel advice. But that's always been the case, and that's nothing new there. So all is well, we hope, on that front. And then just in terms of why insurance, quickly, it's just these are the key elements that aren't covered with the European Health Insurance Card. And if your students don't have the European Health Insurance Card, I recommend they do. In terms of the European Health Insurance Card, it's not implemented the same across Europe. In Ireland, it's implemented differently to Italy. In Italy, I understand A&E, accident and emergency, casualty, is covered, and in Ireland, it's not. Students would have to pay for those costs. So these are just the headline benefits of having insurance versus relying on the EHIC. There's no repatriation, there's no benefits, there's no cancellation cover, you pay for A&E, etc., etc. So it's great security for agents, for schools, for parents, the insurance, and we see most students are picking it up. And then in terms of just working with us, in case you're wondering, it's very flexible, it's very easy, there's no contract, there's no minimum quotas, you can purchase as you please, and it's all done via our dedicated secure portal. And it's rather simple on how you can do it. We have the support of our team globally, as I say, in Canada, it's one of the benefits. So you have Ireland, we have Italy, we have Spain colleagues, and then with Italy or with Canada being 5 hours behind, we have the administration support there in case there's a panic and there's an emergency, where we tend to be able to support you instantly. That's myself, Mark, and Nicoletta Pinto, my fellow Italian. She would be able to support you, and she would be your account manager in Italy. And if anybody, as I say, wants to reach out or ask me any more questions, because that was a whistle-stop tour, you're more than welcome to do so. Here's my details, and as I say, you're welcome to follow up and ask me anything that I can help with. I'm more than happy to help. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Mark.
No problem.
That's great. Thank you very much. Very useful information. Okay, following on from Mark's information there about insurance, I wanted to come across to Janice at the Horner School in Dublin. And Janice is going to give us an update on the situation with COVID and travel into Ireland, precautions that we're taking at schools at the moment. So Janice, if I can hand over to you.
Sure, no problem. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all here today. I'm just going to share my screen with you if I can. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I am happy to give you an update today on COVID and travel for incoming Italian students into Ireland. So as we all know, COVID is an evolving and changing situation. So this is how we stand at the 10th of November 2021. My name is Janice Horner, and I'm director of the Horner School of English, and we're based in Dublin. And I'm speaking on behalf of all of the select schools here today. Okay, so when you're traveling into Ireland, your students, and I think in particular, as we reach next spring, we're going to see some Italian groups coming through. So it'll be group leaders with their students, as well as individual students coming through. Everyone needs to fill out a passenger locator form before departure. Now, my understanding is that this should be done 72 hours before arriving into Ireland. You can upload this document through the airline that you're traveling with. So Aer Lingus use an application called Verifly, and Ryanair have an application through their own website, okay? So you will need to fill in information with regard to the name of the person traveling, date of birth, dates of travel, flight number, and importantly, the address where you will be living while you're in Ireland, and also a mobile phone number that can be contacted when you're in Ireland. You also have to prove that you do not have COVID or you're already vaccinated, okay? So for Ireland, the proof is the EU, the European Digital COVID Certificate, or a negative PCR test that is taken within 72 hours prior to arrival in Ireland, okay? There is one difference between Ireland and Italy at the moment. In Ireland, the EU Digital COVID Certificate is based on a full course of vaccination. It is or on recovery, but it's not based on an antigen test. And that has some implications for during your stay when you are in Ireland. Later on, we can discuss that. So what's the situation as of the beginning of November now? So I looked at these numbers yesterday, the 8th of November. The vaccine is offered to all citizens aged 12 years plus. Currently, we are rolling out a booster vaccination program for all adults aged 60 years plus, all healthcare professionals, and anybody who's under 60 who would have some medical vulnerability. To date, we have administered over 7,349,000 doses of the vaccine. And this translates into a graph. So of the people aged 12 plus in Ireland, 88.9% are fully vaccinated. A further 1.6% have already had one dose of vaccine. So we can assume that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, those balancing numbers will be getting their second dose. And the balance of 9.5 who are not vaccinated, the majority are children under the age of 12. So we are one of the most highly vaccinated countries in the world at the moment. Well, how does it translate? What does daily life in Ireland look like? Well, if you have a digital COVID certificate, you can eat inside a cafe or a restaurant. You can go inside a pub. You can go to the cinema. You can go to the theatre. Nightclubs opened already as well. For using transport, public transport on the bus, on the DART or on the Lewis, on the GO buses, if you're traveling down the country, or on the trains down the country, you will be asked to wear a mask for the duration of your journey. And then you can just take it off when you arrive at your destination. Now, I'm coming back again to this COVID digital pass. Just want to highlight the fact that with an antigen test, you can't get a local COVID pass here in Ireland. So really what we're strongly recommending to all of the agents is that students who are vaccinated should come. Students who are not vaccinated, they're really going to find it difficult here in Ireland. They will be eating outdoors. They'll have to drink outside. They wouldn't be able to go to the cinema or the nightclub with their fellow students. Also, speaking on behalf of, for us, for Horner School, I know from speaking with the host families and placing students that it is a little bit difficult to get families to accept unvaccinated students. So I think you have to bear that in mind for moving forward into 2022. Obviously, it's an evolving situation. So I know for every country, for Italy too, things are going to change a little bit as we go forward. As you know, in Ireland, the language schools opened in late July. So most of us opened in August and early September. And as Justin said previously, we opened using an agreed set of protocols that was designed and written by the schools. The Irish government took all of this data from us and they actually agreed that these are good protocols in which for us to reopen and to stay open and to continue. So the main document that we use, it's a compliance checklist. So it's really easy. It's a living document. We can update it as we move forward if protocols change. The compliance checklist, it looks at absolutely every area of our school life. It's a practical framework for us to follow. And very importantly, there's a lot of accountability. So in every school, you have a lead worker representative who also signs the document. The health and safety officer in each school would sign the document, as well as the school owners or directors. So it means that everybody is buying in. It's a whole buy-in, whole team buy-in into the protocols and how we run. And I just wanted to give you the index so you can see. Really, there's a lot of thought and planning has gone into this. And I think in particular, we have to thank Atlas. Alan Brennan from Atlas has spent, he's probably lost hours of his life doing this on behalf of all of us. And it's very much appreciated. But everything has been considered from what happens in the reception for first day arrival for the students. Most of us have pushed all of the testing for the students online. So for example, in our school, we have an online written test, and then we follow that up with a Zoom call. So we're testing the reading and writing and grammar skills before arrival, and we're testing the speaking and listening ability of each student too. This is all done before arrival, and then it means on the first day, we're able to keep that social distancing. We're not spending too much time face to face. And it also means for the student, they don't lose time on the first morning. So there is a benefit here for the students. They're not losing time on the first day, they're going straight into class. We have protocols about how bathrooms are looked after, cleaned several times a day, what happens in the staff room, etc. So this is the first page. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you any more of this form, but it's a color-coded compliance page. Green, if you highlight the item in green, it means that you've got it's fully done, you've completed it. Everybody's on board, everybody understands what the protocol is, and it's fully stipulated and set in place. If you mark it in amber, it means that it's not fully completed. And if it's in red, it's an action that has yet to be completed. So this is just a blank form, obviously, but you can see most of the schools were following the following protocols. So the wearing of masks in classroom, also all teachers, the offices, the office staff, administration, everybody wearing masks in the school. We keep social distancing. We have good classroom ventilation. We have a deep clean of our schools every day, and generally midway through the day, you'll have a light clean as well. We keep up good hand sanitization. Around the school buildings, there's very good signage reminding students, please wear your mask, employ the proper cough and sneeze etiquette. Now, in addition to this, we also, all of the schools, we would have a pre-arrival protocol for a health questionnaire. So we're asking the students to understand, we're educating them on as to our policies for the school and how we're running every day. And reminding the students to say to us, if you're not well, tell us, don't come to school. If you feel that you need to get a PCR test, we can organize that. It's free of charge. You can very quickly organize it, and you very quickly get the result within 24 hours. And we have to operate in a way that looks after everybody's safety. And that's how we want to operate. And we're now open. We're open since the 30th of August, and we haven't had any problem whatsoever. Everything is running very well. And students and teachers and ourselves and the administration team, everybody's very happy with how it's running, and people feel safe. So that's important. So coming back to kind of daily life, we're doing a lot of outdoor activities because, as you all know, the social activity program is a really important part of anybody's stay. And we've just really adapted. And as Justin said earlier, the weather has been fantastic. I mean, today it's 15, 16 degrees with beautiful bright sunshine right up until about 30 minutes ago. So it has allowed all of us to organise guided walking city tours. We have Galway, Cork and Dublin. We have picnics outdoors. We've got lots of outdoor markets in the cities, and you can do that one day, one afternoon a week. Cycling tours at the weekends, visits to castles, botanic gardens, museums, etc. As we move more into the winter, yes, more things have opened in Ireland. So we're all adding in theatre, cinema evenings, visits to the museums, etc. And this is just a photograph that we've taken recently on one of our trips to Malahide Castle, which is a beautiful activity for all of the Dublin language schools. And then I thought I'd just finish up. I don't know if the other schools are going to be happy with this, but we actually had our own face-to-face meeting, the select schools, in September. And we had organised by Jonathan and CES an evening on the River Shannon. So we had a lovely guided boat trip and it was beautiful. And we're all outdoors. And as you can see, there's not one single fashionista amongst us, God love us, but the group has been, we get on very well and very supportive of each other. And there is a direct benefit, in my opinion, for the clients because the quality, the insight, if somebody has a good idea, we can share it across all 9 schools. So we really look forward to welcoming your students safely into Ireland. And yeah, thank you so much for all your support, everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you. Now, Patrick, I'm going to try and hand back to you.
Okay.
Do I need to hand back to you or can you do it?
Yeah, you should be able to if you stop sharing.
Stop sharing.
Yep. That's great, Janice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much. Okay, from there, Janice, very interesting and up to date. Thank you so much. From there, we're going to go to just talk a little bit more about Select and the kinds of courses that are offered across the different schools. And for that, we're going to go to Joelle in ASET in Cork, and she's going to talk a little bit about the programs that are on offer through the Select Schools network. Okay, Joelle, all yours.
Hi, everyone. Just 2 moments now. I'll put the presentation. Can you see it? No.
Not yet.
Sorry, apologies.
Yep.
Sorry, 2 moments. I can't seem to see it myself.
No problem.
Oh, here we go. There we go. Sorry, apologies. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joelle Code, and I am the Managing Director at ASET. I'm going to speak to you today about studying English in Cork, Galway, and Dublin. So there are 2 schools based in the beautiful south of Ireland in Cork City. There are ourselves ASET, Active Centre of English Training, and then CEC, Cork English College. So welcome to Cork. Cork is one of the leading destinations to study in English, and there are many reasons why you should send your students to study here. We are a cosmopolitan and a university city, which in turn means we have quite a young population. Cork itself is a compact city, very vibrant with lots to do and easy accessible with most facilities within walking distance. The city centre is a busy shopping district with many mainstream and local boutiques. With a relatively small population of approximately 200,000, it provides all the conveniences of a city in a safe and friendly environment where students can learn and interact with the local people. And according to the Lonely Planet travel guide, Cork City is one of the top 10 cities in the world to visit. So here to the left is the map of Ireland. As you can see, we seem to be the only county worth colouring in. This fun-loving, independent-minded city is known to locals as the real capital, and we are known for being the rebel county. Cork City is the second largest city after Dublin. County Cork is, we have the largest county in Ireland also. So Cork Harbour is said to be the second largest natural harbour in the world after Sydney Harbour in Australia. And we are 2.5 hours travel distance to Dublin. So there are many dining options, including upscale Atlantic seafood bistros, long-standing pubs that serve classic Irish stew and host live traditional folk music sessions. You can see here, due to COVID, there are a lot more open spaces taken over by restaurants, bistros for outdoor facilities. Cork itself has a cheaper and more relaxed paced way of life. So you can travel to Cork and to Dublin very easily from flights direct with Ryanair and Aer Lingus. You can fly from Milan, Naples, Rome. Alternatively, students can travel with connections via Paris, London, and Amsterdam. If traveling from Dublin, you can get the Air Coach bus, which is just outside the Dublin Airport Terminal building, and this goes directly to Galway City and Cork City Centre. So here is just a short video from Discover Ireland. So from buzzing streets and vibrant festivals to unforgettable landscapes, there are so many places to visit, not only in Cork City, Cork County, the whole of Ireland. With Irish culture old and new, you experience its dramatic coastal landscapes, historical treasures, and spectacular islands. As previously mentioned, Cork is a lively city with a great nightlife, and there are many festivals throughout the year. Currently in Cork, we have the Cork Film Festival, which takes place this week. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a very successful Cork Jazz Festival. Also quite popular is the Culture Night Festival, Cork Folk Festival, the Cork Choral Festival, and obviously St. Patrick's Parade Festival, and the Lifelong Learning Festival, just to name a few. So in Select Ireland schools, the programs we offer are for both adults and juniors. For adults, there are standard intensive English, business English, university pathway programs, examination preparation such as the Cambridge, IELTS, OET, TOEIC, TIE, TOELS, corporate training for business clients and professionals, teacher training programs for Erasmus Plus such as CLIL, TKT, 21st Century English, practical methodology. We have specialist English for aviation, medical, military, and then there are senior programs for clients over 50. International exams can be taken with select schools. Many are testing centres with various exams such as the Cambridge English, Language Cert, IELTS, OET, the Occupational English Test for doctors and nurses, Trinity, TOEIC, and LinguaSkill, just to name a few. We also have junior programs available, such as English and multi-activity, English and football with Valencia and Juventus, English and rugby with Munster and Leinster, English and filmmaking, English and journalism, English and horse riding, English and music, English and water sports, then English with STEM. We have high school programs, and then obviously the winter school groups, mini stay programs. So thank you for listening, and we hope to see you soon. If you've got any inquiries, you can contact us on these following email addresses, or also get in contact with Select Ireland directly. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joel. Thank you, Joel. Well done. That's great.
Thank you.
Just to finish then, and following on from what Joel has said, I just wanted to brief you just on some of the activities that Select has been involved in. As Justin mentioned, we have been in existence for the last couple of years, but been limited by COVID. But that hasn't meant that we haven't been cooperating together in terms of the work that we've been doing as groups of schools. There has been good connections developed among our schools, both in terms of the school directors, but also in terms of the academic teams. And Select has been involved in a number of training organised training events over the last year. We had a staff welfare day on the 9th of April this year in cooperation with Mark Sheeran at Gardmy, and that was for supporting the mental health of our staff who are working in isolated conditions during the lockdown. Thankfully, we're back in operation now. We also had in June in-house training for our Select schools staff, and we're always happy to receive any feedback from you as agents on anything that we can do better in order to make your job easier and our job easier in terms of welcoming students to our schools in Ireland. In February, we, in cooperation with Cambridge English Language Assessment and Equals, had a training day, an academic training day. We had over 50 attendees from 30 organizations throughout Europe, Turkey, Tunisia, Russia, and Egypt. These were teachers and trainers working in private language schools, training centers, and universities involved in English language education. And we had a training day for them, and we found that very useful in terms of building connections between academic staff in our schools and academic staff in centers around the world. And we are also planning for 2022 an additional training program, which may be of interest to teachers who are working in English language education. This is a series of 9 training webinars, which will be run each month throughout 2022. We are drawing on the expertise and skills of the academic teams in each of the Select Ireland schools to bring a broad range of topics to teachers and trainers working in different parts of English language training, whether it's university training, teaching juniors or otherwise. There are some different programs that may fit in with, for example, Erasmus funding. We look at the June program here from my own school, which is 21st Century Skills, or we look at, for example, the November activity for global citizenship with a CLIL focus. So there's a whole range of different activities that will be available, lots of learning, lots of opportunities for intercommunication and for building skills across the network. So we'd invite you as agents to get in touch with us. We would be happy to send out invitations to your contacts, your teaching staff, your trainers who may be interested in learning more about these activities. And of course, all of these are free, and they will be recorded and broadcast on our YouTube channel, the Select YouTube channel, after each event, which will allow people the opportunity to review the information afterwards. Also, bear in mind that each of these activities, while they are connected together in terms of training, they are all independent of each other. So if you find that you have staff or people who can attend just some and others, then that's fine. We're happy to welcome any and all of those who would like to come along and share their experiences with us and our own academic teams and get to know some of the academic teams within the Select Ireland School Network. So this information will be available for you after this event, and we will also be emailing it out to you in the new year. Okay. Just to finish up then, I just had a few questions that came to me from WhatsApp. There were a few people who couldn't connect today, but have sent questions. I'm not sure if we can answer these questions, so I'll pass them out. Mark, there was a question, Mark Cullen, you there in Cork, there was a question there regarding Erasmus student funding. Does Ireland still accept Erasmus student funding now that the UK no longer does so?
I would think the answer to that question is yes, with open arms. We accept all Erasmus programs, both for students, internships, teachers. So I think all of the schools here would have a great offering of programs. And it may be something that that we might send out at a later stage, something that would contain all of the programs that are run by the Select Ireland schools.
Great, thank you, Mark. Next question I will give to Matteo. Matteo at Atlas. The question was, have you had any Italian bookings yet? Are Italians coming to your school yet?
Yeah, we got mainly individual students, and as far as I got, there is the average length of student weeks is longer, and yeah, and mainly for exam preparation, so general English fluency.
Okay. Thanks, Matteo. Thank you. Yeah, and Ugo, a similar question to that, but I'll send to you. Have you had any bookings for junior groups from Italy yet?
Yes, well, certainly for 2022, we have low season groups already booking in for the springtime, and the inquiries and requests for next summer for junior programs from Italy are off the chart. Yeah, very, very high. So looking forward to hopefully a good year.
Great. Okay. And Maro, I'm giving you the difficult question. Maro, have there been any cases of COVID among Italian students do you know? Sorry, Mara, you're muted.
Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah.
Well,
Difficult question.
as they say in Italy, toccando ferro, we haven't had any case. Okay. So that's great. It's fantastic, but it's really the question is the protocol, as Janice was presenting, and all the measures and the approach that we as schools are taking to limit as much as possible the risk of the COVID. But the question is, as I said, what systems we have in place to answer. But thank God, so far, we haven't had any cases.
Great. Okay, Mara, that's great. Thank you very much. Okay, those are all my questions that I was sent. Are there any other questions here on the call that you would like us to address? Okay. Okay, well then I will finish at that point. I would like to thank everybody for attending here today. For the people who are going to be watching this on and afterwards, again, thank you for taking the time to watch and to be introduced to Select Ireland, Country Focus Italy. Any questions that you might have, please feel free to send them to us via the Select Ireland website or by email, or contact the individual schools that are in Select Ireland, and we're more than happy to answer any of the questions that you might have. The schools on the call here today from Galway, Atlantic Language Galway, myself from Bridgman's Galway Language Centre. From Cork, we have Cork English College and ASET. Joelle, thank you for your presentation. In Dublin, we have ATC, Atlas Language School in Dublin, Centre of English Studies. Justin, thank you for your opening comments. Emerald Cultural Institute and Horner School. Janice, thank you for your presentation and your update. I also want to say again, thank you to Mark Sheeran, Managing Director of Gardaí International Insurance Solutions Limited, for coming along today, telling us a bit about the insurance. And finally, thanks to Alberto Cisterna at Enterprise Ireland, Italy, who has assisted me in organising today's event. This event will be recorded and broadcast on the Select YouTube channel, and please feel free to follow up with us with any questions you might have. We look forward to welcoming you and your students to Ireland in 2022. Thanks, everybody.